Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back in the year 2026. Happy New Year to everybody. Hope you are healthy and successful in this year. And we are kicking it directly off here on the 2nd of January when we record this with the art of affiliate management. And today, shootouts for taking this so early on the year is Nick Cuttonaro from Platform Pay. And the topic that we are covering today is building a brand in online marketing with a combination of shows, marketing, and especially sales, something that got lost a little bit nowadays in our industry. Nick, thank you very much for taking the time. Welcome to this show.
Thank you so much for having me. Pleasure to be here.
So, Nick, for the people that don't know you, I know you are like also 16 years in the industry, same as me. Please give us a
Yes,
little bit like a roundup what you have done in the last years.
for sure. This is 16 years active in the industry now. And I say active because when I started going to shows in 2010, that's when everything unlocked. I had been doing internet marketing going back as early as age 16, believe it or not. I was an affiliate. I was promoting adult offers at the time. This was like 99, 2000. Discovered eBay. Shortly after that, discovered lead generation campaigns, mainly for the mortgage industry, and then went on to go create a brand and reputation management agency that I ran for about 14 years, where I was able to launch brands, mainly diet, skin, Nutra, stuff like that, direct response brands on behalf of clients. Um, and then next logical step for that business was, well, what else would that client want? And then we figured out traffic was the next component. So ran a little network from 2016 to about 2019, and then ultimately came to the conclusion after seeing ChatGPT and how easy it was to create content, contextual content, video content on the cheap, that I knew I needed to pivot and get into something that was in the revenue generation space. And that's where Platform Pay has taken the focus for me over the past 2.5 years or so.
So you are with Platform Pay practically since the beginning.
100%. Yeah. So when it was just an idea, yeah. And then website. So took a lot of the skills that I had in launching brands, building brands, and just applied it exclusively to Platform Pay. And that's actually been a lot of fun, taking all of those years of client work and applying it to something internal.
Okay, I know you guys now since 1 year, but of course, to get like a brand live, it takes a little bit more time. We will speak about it because since I met you, you made quite an appearance on the market. So
Mhm.
congratulations to this. Quickly for the people that don't have no idea what Platform Pay is doing, what is the service that you offer to your clients and to your partners?
Yeah, so it's a revenue service for advertisers, offer owners, any credit card submit offer. So we'll sit on the back of an offer like that, introduce a low ticket subscription to the customer going through that funnel. It's a membership portal. So think deals, discounts, like a VIP membership club. Um, Gives us the ability to introduce incremental revenue for our advertiser client without them launching a program where they would take on potential risk of processing risk, because now you're commingling a low ticket subscription for a membership portal, which would most likely be on a Nutra mid for a physical product sale. So that's where we've noticed a lot of our clients um, can get tripped up in the process because they're really strong and specialized in client acquisition for a consumer product, a shipped out product, and then running subscriptions in the back end is a completely different animal, completely different customer service approach and process, and it can be um, a lot more challenging on the processing side if it's not the one and only thing that you do. So we step in as a service where We make it easy for the clients to integrate. We handle all of the processing, all of the customer service, the creation of the membership portal, and we split earnings 50-50 with our clients after fees.
50-50, like this is how we split the costs when we go on a date in Germany. 50-50. That's why I'm
In
not,
America,
that's
if you're
why, that's why I'm
if
not
you're
successful here in Romania with my dating life. Huh?
um,
Here, check.
uh,
No, not like this anymore, for God's sake.
that's funny.
Okay, it was true when I came here.
Yeah.
It was really like, okay, but yeah, that's not how it should be. So when you were ready for the market, by the way, when was it? Was it when you were in Bangkok in Affiliate World Asia 2024, or you were already ready like half a year earlier and I just didn't met you?
I would say we were ready a year before Bangkok. So even though Bangkok was technically our like public launch, we had been working with clients for uh, 2023, the entire year of 2023, the
Ah,
entire year
already.
of 2024. Yeah, I would say like multiple clients by September of 2023. And it's important like that all of the kinks are worked out. The model is proven. So it would have been a massive gamble to not have any clients, not have any track record prior to committing to a booth at a major trade show. So for anyone watching, listening, Affiliate World Asia, in my opinion, is probably one of the largest most chaotic conference show floors like in the industry. It's I mean it's a blessing when you're there, but it's if you're not prepared for the influx of people walking by, like curious, asking questions, like you need to be able to support that business. And we already figured out um, a lot of the challenges prior to committing to that booth. And obviously over the past year we've gotten better. The pitch is more dialed in. We've figured out like what's important to clients, what's not important to clients. We've tweaked the backdrop creatives for what we're offering. We've tweaked language. So like the first iteration, we were focused on merchants. Like we would use that word a lot in our advertising copy, and now it's advertisers because it just resonates a little bit more because people may not be familiar with that terminology or they may be newer to the industry where most people know in the ecosystem of affiliates, advertisers, networks, and agencies. So um, we've perfected as time went on, but no, we were revenue generating, fully operational, core team, developed chemistry at least a year and a half prior to that first booth in Bangkok of December of 2024.
So I think it was also very successful for you because the boost that you had there, and we have a common friend that is also involved in platform pay, so he brought me there, so I remember it very well. It was already
Yeah.
quite a good one, let's say. So not one with two people, but this time you had really like one of the big boys booths, so it turned out extremely well for you, I guess.
Oh, absolutely. And what's interesting is that we just onboarded a client last week that originally saw us in Bangkok of 2024. So sometimes the life cycle takes a long time,
Yeah.
a year plus, where that attribution was from that original show in Bangkok. And it just took a year to get there. With sometimes with advertisers, they offers die their mids crap out, and it can take them 6 months, 8 months, a year to get back in the game. And now we've been able to onboard, but the origination was that that first conference that we did, which was a success.
It takes in recruitment sometimes also that long. And I think we are here a little bit in a similar situation, and that's why it takes that long. And maybe that's already a good advice for the people out there that are not going to the show and have immediately a deal closed. When you speak about something like maybe having an additional income with integrating platform pay or with recruitment, you go to the conference, you see like the buzzwords. In the meantime, we all know what buzzwords the people are reacting. So you start speaking about it, you're excited. But once you come back, the first 1 or 2 weeks, you just have to take in time to cover the things that were missed, especially a lot of people stay in Asia. So that can take maybe already a month until they are fully back. And then they are focusing on the stuff that is like normal for them. They meet a new traffic source, they meet a new affiliate, they have like God knows what. So everything that comes extra is moved very much in the back, and you can only get that if you are either permanently in front of the people that they say like, okay, we do that, or that you are doing like a great sales job and you are putting yourself permanently in front of them and say like, hey, we met when you are ready to integrate us, boom, when you are ready to hire over us. So I think that's like a very important thing, and that's also what we want to speak about today, how these things are coming together. When you were starting with all your marketing and all this kind of things, especially preparing for shows, what was your main focus? You had more like a branding and marketing target, or it was directly like all targeted to generating revenue and clients from day one? What was your main focus?
Uh, Day one, and still even today, the spirit of the business, and I think the spirit for any business should be revenue creation first. I'm sure some may argue and say, but if you have $1 billion brand, that's different. If you want to have like a blimp fly over a NFL game in the United States and have like the name of a major insurance company, sure, fine. That's different. But for most brands in this industry we're talking about today, you need you need the assurances that the model can be supported by actual revenue. So I would recommend, and we've done this, you got to beta test it. You got to test the market. We sought out some select advertisers, ones that we've known for years, ones that were receptive, and just said, yeah, sure, let's integrate. Let's see how it works. And it was more of a question of work with us, help us work out the kinks. We'll give you a lot of attention because this is a new agency model. Like, and you have to be truthful. You can't posture that you're a behemoth of a company when you're not. And people appreciate that. And I really think that that will then lead to more revenue that's generated. And I'll say this over like my entrepreneurial journey. Sometimes I've missed the mark and I've done it the inverse way. And I realize that I'm very good at marketing something that people don't actually want. And that's an important thing to distinguish when going after a prospect or a demographic. Like you need to actually solve a problem, deliver value, prove that, and then build the brand, and then all of the happy clients and interactions that will just further support the brand building, where it becomes much easier to garner attention. People people can use the brand name in like a household sense. Like people know Platform Pay now, and it's as the result of repeatedly showing up to shows, but also having a business model that delivers value to our clients and puts us in a position where we have enough revenue coming in that we can make these investments back into what is working, and that's mainly conferences. So if the model doesn't support the business financially first, and that comes through revenue generation, there will be no branding. because
One
there will
question
be
here
no money.
directly, because you said
Yeah,
it's great that this money is coming in and you can invest it in the conferences. The next question was for me, which marketing effort has the biggest effort? I think you answered this already with
yeah.
conferences. Why you think in your special, not special case, but why I think in your case in general, the conferences are making so much sense for you?
I think it's just who we are targeting, and that is advertisers. It's not a it, Our buyers are they're not consumers. So if this was like a Nutra offer, we can just go buy traffic. We can go to a
Mhm.
network. Like there are so many channels of acquiring a customer, but for acquiring like a brand type business, face to face is where it's at. It's high trust. Like typically in these setups and situations where discovery comes from walking the conference floor. Discovery comes from being at this specific meetup. We could also be vouched for. If someone says, "Well, I've never heard of you. Do you have any clients here?" The answer is yes. Like, sure, if you want to. I don't think there's a better testimonial than having a happy client kind of lurking around the booth in the mix, like sitting on a couch in the booth, and they'll be a walking testimonial. So, um, and I've thought about like what else can we do to generate interest, traffic to our site. Is paid media the answer? I don't think so. I really don't. We're doubling down on what works, and that is um, top of funnel being face-to-face interactions, making the absolute most of every conference experience from the day zero events like TT Meetup into other events, either that we're hosting or attending, making the most of the actual time on the conference floor, and then making the most of follow-up interactions thereafter, tracking everything within a CRM of sorts, and then um, proceeding to close business, onboard business thereafter. The other thing too, Stefan, is that if we're running ads, we don't, and someone goes and fills through the funnel, fills out a funnel or fills out their information, and we get the information. We never really know much about the client's business. It's kind of like a mystery. And unless we get on a Zoom call and they show face, it can be hard to distinguish like who's real, who's not, who's phishing. And we've had this before of people trying to reverse engineer our business and try and get copies of our client agreements and basically secret shop us. And it happens a lot when people are trying to build, I don't know, or feel the market out or try and like compete with us. Um, I think that there's no better approach than a face-to-face interaction. Um, and this may not work for everyone else, but for us, it's working, and we just double down on what works.
When you go to these conferences and you meet somebody, how many contacts you usually have to make until you get like a feedback or to even actually it would be interesting for me to know how often you
Sure.
have to reach out usually until you get a reply and how
Yes.
much often you have to talk to people to get like also business done because even in our case with the affiliation it's often that we meet like dating affiliates. They say like,
Yes.
oh, bro, you have exactly the offers that I need. I plug it in next week. So, but even these people, so it's not that I come with a new concept. It's not about recruitment that you have to take money or something like this. No, no, it's their main business. They sign up.
Yes.
If they give me their email, I create the account for them. Often they have already one. They just have to put in one link. So of course, it's a bit too simple to say it like this, but
Yes.
it's like their regular business. But even they need often three contacts until they even reply. How is it with you?
100%. Yeah. So what we're describing right now is this business development phenomenon, right? I know you're working a booth because I've seen you at shows. I've stopped by your booth. I'm doing the same. We're both pitching more or less to the same audience, similar Similar demeanor, similar approach to how they handle their business, and it's a numbers game. I took it personally when people wouldn't respond back. Telegram is kind of where everyone lives right now. Skype is dead. Like WhatsApp is not the best for business. So,
I don't like it. I use it for my private life. I think it's my
yeah.
kid or something like this, and then it's like, yo, bro, here.
So with Telegram, like you can see if someone has left you unread, you'll see the two little checks, and it's like, okay, he read the message, he's not responding, he's not taking any reliance. Got it. Then there's the bucket of people that it's the single check, they don't respond, they don't read. And I look at it as a filter. I may have the greatest conversation with someone at the booth. They may be a perfect client for us. Let's say a Nutra advertiser promoting in the US, doing 500 sales a day. And it's like they see the value, they want to work with us, but we cannot chase ghosts. Like you can only follow up so much. Um, and I have some tricks. Sometimes I, I I fake a call. I'll like call them on Telegram, and if they and then I'll like cancel it out. I'll see if they respond, and I'll be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I butt dialed you." But at least if you call someone, it completely takes over their phone. I don't know what time zone they're in. It may be like slightly disrespectful at 2 in the morning to be calling someone, but I want to see if there's some sign of life. And if there is no sign of life, no matter how great the interaction was, I got to kick that lead. And now it's more so maybe I'll see this guy at the next conference. He's kind of going into a separate pipeline where I'm gonna follow up just because I unless someone tells me no, you're gonna hear from me, right? Unless someone says like I'm totally not interested, don't reach out to me or blocks me, I'm gonna like pop in and say, hey, we'll be at the TT meetup in Dubai. We'll have a villa there. Are you going? I kind of do roll calls for shows to see if people are going. I just want a sign of life. If there's no sign of life, there's no possible way that we can transact. And Stefan, there's been instances where I've brought the client on, brought him into a technical or integration chat, team's ready, everyone's excited, and the guy just goes ghost. And we'll give it a month.
Yeah.
And at that point, I don't ever want to say someone is blacklisted because maybe there's an emergency. Maybe the guy's been hospitalized. Maybe something catastrophic happened. Who am I to judge? But if I don't hear from someone, I will judge you, take you less seriously, and the qualification will have to go in reverse. Where if I ever interact with this guy again, he expresses interest in working with Platform Pay, I'm going to bring it up and just say, hey, I was a little taken back. That's kind of funny. I say I'm a little taken back by you didn't get back to me. We had a great conversation. I look at it as just courtesy in business. Like respond as promptly as you can. If it's not a fit, just say it's not a fit. But we can't chase ghosts in our respective businesses. And it's up to us if we have a booth to follow up. I never expect people that I have had an interaction to be proactive with me. Now, the ones that are, I will
That
bump to the top of the list. I
It
will
is
bump them.
this is maybe in 10% of the cases,
Yep.
it doesn't even matter what it is, if it's consultant, recruitment, traffic, or with the SaaS with cats, it's even harder. But in literally 90% of the cases, you have to reach out to them. And a very interesting thing is also that we started in the recruitment to charge like a small amount before we start the work. We do this since now exactly a year. We started in January 2025. We lost some clients and some interests because of that. But before we had so many people, they were putting an effort into giving us the job descriptions. Sometimes we had
Mhm.
to put it to get it and so on. But once everything is running, they stop responding. And the
Yeah,
same as you say, like, hey, we put these people into like a group chat with our technical department, and for sure you have like complex processes to set up accounts and God knows what. So in our case as well. So it's just that these people have other stuff in their mind and they don't even tell us, hey, we are not recruiting anymore. So even now that we are charging this money, there are people that pay it, and 2 weeks later they said we don't hire anymore, but at least they tell us now because we
that's
have like
nice.
this,
That's
this small financial incentive, and
right.
that helped us. That helped us so much, and they paid also only one time. So if they come back after half a year and say like now we are ready to hire, hey, we already have a business relationship. You already paid me a few bucks. Let's get it going. But at least they reply now and they tell us.
Yeah.
And before we didn't have that, they were not telling us at all. And there were cases where we were interviewing like 8 people. We sourced them and everything, and then they are not even replying anymore. And that's really a very big bummer.
It is. And I think we, whoever is listening that's in sales, that in business development, revenue growth and generation, we need to use all of the tools that we have at our fingertips. So, and Telegram is kind of like the hub right now of like all communication. So I mentioned like the fake butt dial, right? Just to call someone, see how they react. But you can post a story on Telegram. So like I did one yesterday. It's a Happy New Year's story, right? Yes, I am wishing people Happy New Year's, but I'm also tracking who viewed it. I want to see if the usual suspects who do not respond to me view the story. It's a sign of life. I'm not saying the moment that they view it, I'm going to hit them up, but maybe if I'm if it perks my interest at the time, yeah, I may send them a message and I'm not going to say, hey, I saw you saw my story, but it's a sign of life that they may be online, that this time it may land, but it's a numbers game. And the reality is you'll talk to 20 different people, get 20 leads that are somewhat qualified, and then you have to assume that 50% of them you'll never hear from, you'll never talk to, they'll never respond back. There will never be a dialogue ever again. So you're down to 10, the remaining 50. And then you'll find out, half of those are not ready yet. They'll sit in your pipeline. And then from there, maybe 3 to 4 actual deals will get closed. But most brands that have booths at these shows, they run businesses where the economics can support a low number of conversions that equals a massive amount of revenue. So if you notice, like there's no hosting companies at these shows anymore because like a hosting package it's cheap, like a couple $100 for the year, and here's your hosting package. It wouldn't make sense for tens of thousands of dollars to be spent on flying people out to sell cheap things, or a cheap service where, for like a traffic source, a network, you're most people are looking for bigger deals. I don't want to say there people are whale hunting. I'm just looking for deals that can more than cover like a single interaction, a single deal, or two can cover the entire cost of the show and then some.
That is the beauty of it.
Hmm.
That is even in recruitment possible. If you close like 2 big roles, some AI specialist and some C-level guy, or even BizDev in America with some
Yeah.
specification, that's already like good. We spoke a lot about sales process and about the others, how others are maybe not respectful towards us. So let's speak a little bit more about us ourselves. So
Mhm.
especially you guys put in cooperation with the TikTok meetup. quite
Yes.
some effort into personal branding, at least of some of the people that are working in the company. And also, you are here, like in all of your not hangover beauty, what is not the case for me. I'm a little like this because I was out until 7:30 a.m. I'm not on a conference. I can do that now. So let me ask you the question. I see a lot of personal branding from your team. Now
Yes.
also on the Bangkok show, and Mike, for example, moderated the TikTok meeting. I think he did it already for the second and the third time. And also, I think he's like your lawyer or some other guy that is a little bit more conservative. He was doing something there. I had other obligations, so I could not join. What is the concept of putting the people in the spotlight?
So people buy from people. Like that's never going away, especially for like high ticket or high value services, especially services that require a tremendous amount of trust. I mean, for us, it's a big ask of our advertiser clients. Essentially, we are their data is being shared. I mean, it's one of the most important elements of the business is their customer acquisitions, and we're helping on the monetization side. If we don't have that level of trust, it's very hard to make that ask. In your instance, I mean, we're talking about people's careers, their livelihood, their ability to earn an income from their selves or dependents. Um, to not have a face to your advocate, it's it doesn't always work that well. So having the personal branding element, and I guess I never looked at it as like personal branding. I just looked at it as more influence in the room. If we have the ability and the opportunity to have one of our guys on the front line host the TT meetup, it's just only going to help us during the subsequent days of the conference. So if Michael's one of the first people that you see at the TT meetup, and there's 700 people like at the one in Bangkok, which was a massive success, and then you see our booth, and then you see our branding again, whether people realize it or not, hey, that's the guy from the booth, or that's the guy from the TT meetup, rather. Um, our attorney, he's presenting a case study at Bangkok on the main stage. Now, for me, I've never been the one who sits in the audience and watches main stage presentations, but there's a lot of people who do, and I know you host a lot of the conferences on the main stage, and there are a lot of attendees that enjoy the content, the educational element. So that's why Patrick's there, because we're now catering to a different audience. And whether Patrick's at our booth after one of his sessions, it doesn't matter, because someone in that audience will come to the booth, and the first thing that they'll say is, "Hey, I saw your general counsel on stage. Can we talk more?" Yes. So it's just being omnipresent and having the right people in the right rooms, but um, maintain a position of influence, not like an influencer per se, but like just being there in a manner that is going to spark a conversation later as the rest of the conference progresses. And that's a
Yeah.
big thing of sequencing and staging. So that's why I love the TT meetup so much, is because there's people who get right off the plane on day zero that show up to a TT meetup, and that kind of sets the tone, sets the energy, sets the conversations for follow-ups during the subsequent days. And we're very aware of that and how we bookend our conference experiences, where we want to set the tone, set the tempo there, and then we typically bookend it with a private dinner with our clients, referral partners, like intimate dinner of like 25 people the last day. And I think you were at one of our dinners in Bucharest, where
That's correct. Yeah.
for AW Summit, where it it's like the final conversations of people that we see we see
You have a
potential
good
doing.
memory that you have a good memory that you remember
I
that I was there. I
Yeah,
think
you were
you
there.
have you even been on the dinner yourself?
I was at the dinner. Yes, I was
You
there.
were there, okay. Yeah, because I know one of you had to leave, but it's crazy that you remember the people that were attending there because it was not our your dinner, it was also the other one, and of course we are from I'm Live, and we all
Yes.
blended and like 50 people, so 60 people remembering that
It-
is a flex.
the dinners are effective because it's a commitment. So if you have the right people at the dinner table, it's going to lead to conversations that you would never have. Like you're going to go deeper. People are going to talk more about their metrics, their numbers, what's working, what's not working, than like a surface level conversation at like a TT meetup, which is sometimes the origination of that relationship. But the dinners um, can be very effective as well because sometimes, I don't know about you, that could be the first proper meal that I've had all week at a conference because I'm kind of grab and go. I want to go to this party. I'm working the booth. It's more so business development focused, and I'm not necessarily going to go seek out a meal for myself. Like they say in sales, never eat alone. You shouldn't. I don't typically, if I'm going to eat, it's going to be at the booth or grabbing it because I want to go to the parties. But the dinners are very effective um, to hold attention for say 3 hours where and we're also creating an environment where the guests can potentially do business among themselves. It doesn't necessarily need to revolve around platform pay, but everyone will remember where they met that person. It was in this city, and we do travel a lot internationally, so it's interesting. And being that central hub, I don't see any downside as long as we're still in a position to court and bring on new clients as a result, which almost always happens. Like there's always some value. Now it may take time. The sales cycle may be 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, but as long as you're diligent, organized, the money is always in the follow up. And sometimes it may take two, three
Mhm.
conference cycles in order to convert. So that's just
Yeah.
the nature of the game we're playing with longer sales cycles for higher ticket, um, just big impacts that we're creating when we actually do get a contract signed back.
You said something very nice. The money is always in the follow-up. Normally, I have here a category with the golden nugget, best advice you can share, but I think we can skip that. We just put that there. How you
I
measure the success of your sales team? Because when the sales cycle is so long, so somebody
Yes.
starts working for you, and usually after a few weeks, 3 months, and so on, you are making like a summary. There is even a risk that there has not happened too much yet. So, how you are measuring the success of your team?
So you need tools. You need a CRM.
Which one you use?
We like Pipedrive.
Hmm?
I've tried a variety of CRMs, even for like other unrelated businesses. I've actually really liked Zendesk Sell, probably one of my favorite CRMs. The problem is they're sunsetting that product in 2027, and they're helping people migrate to Pipedrive. So
Oh,
Pipedrive
okay.
is um, is effective for doing a dump after a show of, okay, who'd you talk to? What were the conversations about? Um, Put it in pipe. Now, every time you have a conversation with the prospect, if you have a conversation with the prospect, just document it in pipe. Even for myself, I do this, and let's say I get hit by a bus. That's worst case scenario, and say I cannot follow up on my own pipeline. Well, someone needs to be able to figure out who did Nick talk to? What was said? What's the game plan here? When was the last touch on this lead? So how often should you touch? It depends. Not everyone's going to read the messages, but you need some form of quantifying the interactions that happened. So for me, like general lead qualification, are you an advertiser? If the guy's not an advertiser, doesn't own an offer, well, that's very nice. You can shake hands, but there's no point in me maintaining a relationship thereafter unless there is something that we can do as a strategic. Doesn't always have to be in a business that we can convert together. But that will go into a different bucket. So I kind of map it as high priority, medium priority, low priority, um, strategic partners, referral partners. That's kind of my how I
What is a
lump.
typical strategic partnership that you are doing to have an
Could
idea?
be could be with a CRM. So a
Mm.
CRM has advertiser clients. It could be with an analytics company that has advertiser clients. It could be a chargeback management company. They have advertiser clients. They have the clients that we want. We can engage in a manner where it could be a two-way street. If they want to send their business to us, we have a referral program. It could be a scenario where we're simply trading clients, where there's no financial compensation attributed to what's being lobbed to and from. Um, it could be simply to trade intelligence at that point of like, hey, what's working, what's not working. Um, but those are my general buckets, and then everything goes into pipe, and then some will get kicked like immediately because you find out the offer is not live. Okay, well, if the offer's not live, there's really nothing we can do. You just got to whittle down and just focus on like what can close in the immediate future, and just work those leads without forgetting about the leads of every interaction you've had prior, because there's always the next conference. And one of my best openers is, hey, are you going to Dubai coming up? And then invite that person to a private event, maybe that we're hosting, or just invite him to the TT meetup. Say, oh, Michael's hosting once again. It's just another another way to open that conversation without being too salesy.
I never do that with these events, but it's just not fitting me. But I know a lot of people are doing this, a lot of people. And for example, also in dating, in Masters in Cash, it's
Mm-hmm.
for one of the girls. She was not traveling because she got a kid. It was like her main opener with all the clients. Hey, are you going to this and
Where are
this
you
event?
going?
And if yes, here you can meet our partners. We have now this in this countries. So it's exactly her style. So I know that it's like a very good way of doing that. With all this data that you get into Pipedrive, are you doing something beside your real follow-ups with them more? So are you uploading them somewhere for retargeting, or you have like a newsletter or a Telegram group for platform pay? What do you do with all this data? Or you say like these are like not making any sense. We just leave it for the moment.
I've noticed that email is kind of going the way of the buffalo for this industry. Unfortunately, people don't read email, they don't respond to email. It's largely unprofessional. I think email's good for contracts going out, like,
Mm.
hey, the DocuSign's out. Um, Telegram is really where it's at, like one-to-one Telegram messages. I don't want to herd people into group chats. I typically handle um, one-to-one messages where the objective is if it's a qualified prospect, and I try and figure out what their schedule looks like to book a demo on Zoom. And then it's a proper demo. I can show them the product. I can show them how we do what we do. We can project earnings together. The key is book the Zoom demo. That's the next phase. If there is an indicator of interest, there is some life after the conference. Um, But yeah, pretty much everything revolves around Telegram, being very, very organized on Telegram, as far as archiving chats, because it, it can become very disorganized very quickly if you're not using it, or you're not diligent about using it properly. So my goal is, by the end of the night, as much as possible, I try and get to inbox zero on Telegram, where um, I touch everything that requires a touch. And then when I wake up, there's usually a couple hundred, sometimes more than 300 messages overnight, because we're working.
But you mean messages in total. It's not that you have 300 different chats open.
No, no. So this can be group chats, client
Ah,
chats. And the reason is because we work a 24/7 clock at Platform Pay. So as you know, guys on our team, so we have folks on Singapore time. They're 12, 13 hours, depending on if we're in daylight savings or not. So while I'm sleeping, an entire day's worth of work is completed. And when I wake up, that now I'm, with the exception of like Patrick, our general counsel, I'm the only guy in the US. So it's really my responsibility to read, take action, respond, and knowing that my counterparts, the rest of the team, is that's their evening. So we're kind of doing this to one another, but the only way to keep moving forward um, is to be diligent with the communication, address it quick. And just as an aside, the most successful people that I've encountered, they're quick to respond. Like, very, very, very wealthy older gentlemen, like they're quick. Like if I ask them a question, this is when we're friends, like, hey, I got a question, they'll respond, or they'll just pick up the phone and talk. And I've noticed this, that like very, very successful people will respond quick. They'll respond definitively. They don't beat around the bush. They clear their queue so that they can move on. Whereas less successful people, surprise, surprise, are very disorganized. They're there's so many alerts and notifications, like they have bad digital hygiene in that sense. So I think there's a direct correlation to speed and organization, uh, and just getting back to people, and one's ability to grow, sustain, and keep a business moving in the right direction.
I have sometimes the problem that when the messages are piling too much up, I start working from the top. What is actually so the people that were writing me the latest, they got the fastest reply, and the other
Yes.
ones that were reacting early, they maybe have to wait a little bit more. But it's for sure also not the best digital hygiene. So I have one more question here.
Yes.
Do you think that the generation that has come in the last years, I don't know, the Gen Z or something like this, they lost a little bit their drive to do proper sales, and they just rely on like copy and paste mass messages, somebody replies or not, not putting some effort, or is this something that you don't really encounter too much?
I think it's a lost art. I take a lot of pride in business development, sales. I've done this obviously for Platform Pay. We've taken an idea and grown it into a very significant business, but I've done this in other industries, real estate as well. Um, it's a dying art, and I'll even say I've gone as far as sending personalized notes in the mail, not for Platform Pay prospects, but for, like, let's say a real estate lead. Just send them a note, because other people are not doing it, and I I'm competing against myself and the quality of the follow up, but I also know I'm willing to do things that other people are not doing, and I'm very, very, very competitive in business, and I exploit that. I will exploit laziness if I know there is another. provider. And I have respect for everyone doing revenue generation for advertisers, similar to what we're doing. But if I know that their communication is poor, their follow-up is poor, their approach is not as polished as us,
Is it sometimes even fear that the people don't want to have a rejection and that's why they make this kind of anonymous messages?
I think you're right on that. There is a degree of fear of rejection, and I've been in sales and I've been doing it since age 19, 20 when I started cold calling. This is a long, long time ago. I started cold calling stocks. This is back when people would pick up the phone. Now you can just use like Robinhood or whatever. You don't need like to buy from a person. But I was very nervous making cold calls for mortgages, for stocks. Like, what are these people going to say? Going to hang up the phone on me? They're going to curse me out. And then you do that for about a month, and then you become so incredibly desensitized where I tend to forget now. There is no fear. It's just what I do as far as prospecting, reaching out. I mean, I want to warm prospect. I wouldn't want to go cold, but if I going cold doesn't make a difference to me. I think that with copy and paste, at least modify it to say hi, whatever the person's first name is, and then put your copy and paste so it doesn't look 100% copy and paste. Like address the person by name. Like there are psychological tricks to amplify the response rate. Like just by using someone's name, that's an easy one right there because everyone loves hearing their name or seeing their name in writing in order to get someone to respond. But
You were saying my name also more often than the usual podcast guests. I know that you don't make it on purpose, that it's so much in your DNA. And because I'm an old sales guy as well, I spotted that.
it's important that you acknowledge people by their name. People like hearing their name. And I'm not doing like Jedi mind tricks or anything like that. I'm not using like high pressure tactics or anything like that. Like this is just having a conversation, figuring out if it's a fit, but also giving you the best shot for that person to respond because we live in a chaotic world of notifications and attention being pulled in a many different directions. So it's the responsibility of the business development person to be diligent in the follow up, give best efforts, not give up, not get discouraged, realize it's a numbers game where your conversion rate it's going to be very small compared to all the people that you talk to, but you need a lot of at bats. You got to talk to a lot of people. So um, I know we talked about conferences a lot, and it's a very big part of like what we do and how we approach business development. But the preparation before the conference matters. Like you got to know who's going, who's in the room, kind of teeing up meetings and interactions. Like um, just asking people, okay, are you going to the TT meetup? Great, I'll see you there. You kind of mentally know who's going to be in the room before you get there, and then figuring out it does it make sense to do a private meeting or just meet someone at the booth. Like time management's a big deal because if you commit to, let's say, a one-to-one dinner with just like going, that's like playing heads up poker with someone, unless it's like a massive deal, that's like a 3 hour commitment that you're making, but you're also taking someone out of their conference routine for 3 hours as well. So that's why we like the group dinners. Like just get 25 people in the right room and let it be networking where people are invited to move around. Like uh, I I was circulating the whole time, and I hate bouncing around, while at a dinner, but I make it so we have three tables, and each table has like one open seat, so I can pop in, kind of like a
Like a
maitre
musical
d'.
chair.
Exactly, play a little game of musical chairs, and those floater chairs, anyone can use them as well, so that they're not locked in talking to someone that they don't want to talk to for an extended period of time. So there's different tools like the dinner. That's a tool in of its own right. Like we're getting into mixers right now, so
What is that?
we're doing this at a affiliate summit west in Vegas coming up, where we're we're doing 125 people, 3 hour open bar. We rent it out like a small club. It's called the Barber Shop at the Cosmopolitan, but we're getting the right people in the right room at the right time on day zero. There is no TT meetup, so we're kind of seeing what's worked, and we're the lead sponsor. We're not reliant on any other companies to offset cost. It's like our party, and that's going to set the tone for the rest of the conference week. So that is its own tool. Like it's not a one-to-one. It's not like a 25-person dinner. We are also doing the 25-person dinner on the last day, but it's maximizing the time while you have it, because people are getting on airplanes, they're booking hotels, like they're in complete immersion mode. And I really believe, like as like a diehard business developer, it's up to us to set the tone and kind of set the stage for conference attendees, even beyond the expo floor. Like the expo floor matters, but there are other elements with which one can argue matter just as much, if not more.
Unfortunately, I cannot be in Vegas, but I wish you a super fantastic time there and good success with the mixer. So you make it the first time, the mixer now.
This is our first rodeo doing it, but we have some help with the folks from AW
Yeah,
Summit,
I heard.
so we're not doing this 100% alone. We are working with like seasoned vets for event planning, like so that we're not leaving anything to chance.
It's a pity that you were not in the Kochang meetup they made.
I needed to go home next year. We did have some guys there.
Yeah,
But for me, I want to stay longer in Asia next time. So next year, I do plan to go to that one.
it was really great. It was not like big, but it was like the right people, and it were people that you will never meet before. And what was also very interesting, some of the very bigger guys there, they were like Indian people, and sometimes they're saying like, yeah, the Indians and their traffic and whatsoever. But no, no, that were really like fantastic business people. Otherwise, they would not come there. And also some other people that I met there or that I made closer. It was absolutely fantastic. Rounded up the entire Asian trip. So my last question, or like, is the golden nugget. As I said, you
Yeah,
already said with like the money is in the follow-up, what is
yeah.
very smart, but it's still here on the agenda. So maybe you have another golden nugget, the best advice that you can share that we have not heard 100 times already.
Yeah, these devices right here, you got to use them like a second brain in your pocket. So I use the note section on my iPhone while I'm on the plane. So I kind of mentally prepare while I'm on the plane, visualizing like what I'm looking to get out of the show, making notes. Like I never turn the Wi-Fi on while I'm there. So most people do not live natively in the conference locations. Most fly. So using that time to mentally prepare, no Wi-Fi, use the note section, like a lot of ideas will come out. You can execute on those ideas while at the shows. I use it to take notes. Like if I meet with someone, take a note, because there's so much stimuli at these shows. It's impossible to remember. There's so many thoughts happening in your brain, where if you see something, take a picture, write a note. Like there is no mystery as to how we've scaled um, platform pay, it comes down to details. We observe, like we have folks on our team where myself included, at the end of a show, we will walk, or even before the show begins, we will walk around every booth, take notes on my iPhone notes, like just so that we can improve, we can do what we do better. And then I debrief on the flight home. Like it's just another factor, but for like pure business development, it needs to go beyond just adding someone on Telegram, just scanning someone on Telegram. You do that enough, you're going to forget, like, what does this guy do? Like, you need to actually write when you meet someone, like what you plan on doing with this person. So for me, it's like vertical sales per day, geos that they're running, their CRM. That's kind of like my four pillars for qualifying a platform pay prospect. For for let's say a network, they're probably looking for different qualifiers, but get that person on Telegram and write that in the chat, and you can even extend it to taking a selfie with someone, right? Like
That is what we always do. Yeah.
if you really
In,
want to
in
take
all
a
the
selfie.
businesses. Yeah.
Now you got to feel that out, because grown men taking selfies with grown men, not everyone likes that or welcomes that, which is to be expected. There's a lot of people, it's sometimes a sensitive industry. People don't want to be photographed, but you can casually bring it up if it makes sense. You got to use kind of your spidey senses to touch on that. But
The only ones that I don't even ask is the ones that are coming, like, like with sunglasses and Balenciaga and being from God knows what CIS region. And I don't know, they don't want to have that. With the rest, I never ask, like, come on, let's make a selfie. And then, like, we pose. So it's really like, okay, to remember, boom. So if you make it like this, like without like to make it look nice, just to remember, everybody is so far cool with that. If it's girls, it's a different story. They want to have it perfect. Then you cannot make a selfie. You have to stand there in front of your booth and they are next to you, and somebody else has to make the picture. But that's part of the game. I have three girls working for me. So they all do it like this, but they are also good looking, so everybody enjoys to have a picture with them.
I, listen, we're playing the same game. I'm glad I've finally met someone doing the same or similar things, because booths are big investments. They really are, and it requires a lot of like logistics of getting boxes through customs. Like that's a big deal. Like sometimes, and this happened at the Barcelona show where for Conversion Conf Barcelona. Um, or Pepe the Frog stuffed animals were seized by customs. They're like, this is weird. What is this? So you got to be
What happened to
mindful.
them? What
I
happened to
don't know.
them in the end?
They ended up not allowing it into the country. It went back, yeah, where they came from. But it's fine. That was a smaller show anyway. Like no one realized that they were not there. But you spend all of this money on the booth itself, hotels, flights, um, all of like the swag that you give out, and it's branded, and there's so much thought, care, and attention that goes in. You really got to maximize the follow up. Give yourself the absolute best shot to connect with people after the show, or it's a failed effort. And if you have folks working booths on behalf of your brand, you need to set standards like pipe drive, email dumps, like figuring out like what actual opportunities do we have, and can we quantify them? Because at that point, you need to figure out what shows are working for you and what shows are not. And the expo floor may not be working for you, but everything else does. And, not to get into specifics, I'm noticing that with Affiliate Summit East, Affiliate Summit West. this isn't my opinion. This is what a lot of people feel, is that the side events are where it's at. The main expo floor, people are not buying tickets. Brands are not sponsoring; they're just not there. And there's more value to be had uh, during the extracurricular activities. But the only way to know that is quantifying the effort. You need a data dump, and you need good data. You can't just say I talked to this guy, nice guy, without any context. So who's ever working and operating the booths need to understand the drill as well. Everything needs to be collected, documented. Ultimately, it's going to impact your own earnings. So why not get into good habits as soon as possible?
Yeah, that's true. Big CRM fan. I use always Podio. I work also with Soho, what I don't enjoy, but when I can choose it or when I can choose it for my clients, I always go for Podio. Okay, we come to an end of this. Of course, I will put all your details down in the caption so everybody that
Sure.
wants to reach out to you and make more out of their advertiser business should feel free to connect with you, or if it's like a cool person to hang out at your mixer. Um,
Yes.
Nick, I appreciate really a lot that on a 2nd of January you take the time to come here on this podcast and share your golden nuggets with the audience. So it was a very big pleasure to hear from a sales and business development veteran. You do this job longer than me. To hear your take, and it's overlapping a lot with my ideas that I have as well. So very pleasant. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Okay, everybody, great 2026. Take care. Peace out. Ciao, ciao.